Well, a day after Democrats rallied on the state fairgrounds, Republican politicians are gathering in Springfield to kick off the fall campaign season.
WGN's Mike Lowe live for us in Springfield from the State Fair's Republican Day. Mike.
Ben and Lourdes, good afternoon to both of you. The focus of the State Fair today was Republican Party politics, and that gave GOP leaders a chance to talk about the future. But what they said may not be as important as what they didn't.
Oh, my fellow Republicans.
Speaker?
If we are to win again in Illinois, we have got to win back the suburbs.
After Speaker.
Politics is about the future, not about the past.
After Speaker.
Candidate recruitment is the most important and the key factor in our success in 2024.
At a gathering of the Illinois Republicans, talked about the upcoming 2024 election, without mentioning the name of the party's leading candidate for president.
Are you concerned about the Trump factor in 2024?
You know, I think what we're focused on is the corruption playing out in the federal courthouse up in Chicago right now.
When asked directly about Donald Trump and the grievous charges he faces in 4 separate indictments, Illinois Senate Republican leader John Curran pivoted to alleged Democratic misconduct in Illinois, the trial of former House Speaker Mike Madigan's chief of staff, Tim Mapes.
U.S. Attorney's Office is pulling apart the corrupt Illinois Democratic apparatus that has dominated the state and taken us down a bad path.
Tony McCombie, the Illinois House Republican leader, was the first to use Trump's name, but only to say he should not be the focus of Illinois politics.
I'm always so curious as why is it always about Donald Trump? Here we are in Illinois. Let's talk about Illinois.
At a picnic later on the state fair grounds, there was visible support for the former president, despite the allegations that he orchestrated a conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election.
It just makes our feelings stronger. We're committed. They're going to keep attacking him any way they can. We all know that. We knew that from the beginning. Doesn't change a thing.
At the rally, not a single speaker on stage mentioned Trump by name, but McCombie took direct aim at Governor Pritzker, who a day earlier condemned the GOP as a party of conspiracy theories and lies.
The problem is this. Here in Illinois, we have a low tolerance for bull.
Democrats' tolerance for bull might be low, but their tolerance for corruption is apparently sky high.
Throughout the day, Republicans laid out a strategy to be competitive in Illinois by focusing on the suburbs, engaging small donors, and encouraging early voting and voting by mail.
Let's shut down one-party control in Illinois.
And now I'd like to introduce...
And the state party chairman acknowledged that winning back seats in the state of Illinois for his party won't happen overnight, but it is worth noting that all 6 of the constitutional offices here in the state of Illinois, plus the 2 U.S. Senate seats, are currently held by Democrats. Reporting live in Springfield this afternoon at the State Fair, Mike Lowe, WGN News.
All right, Mike, thank you.